The shining men. I used to believe that pain came in waves, but grief is an entire ocean, silent and viscous, that slowly swallows you. There is no tide, there is no warning. One day you're standing up, washing the dishes, and out of nowhere, bam! The image of her in that little yellow dress comes like a punch in the throat. What they call souvenir tastes like dried blood and rust, as if someone had cut something inside you and left it to rot there. Sorry, this wasn't how I wanted to start, but I no longer know how to pretend that everything is fine good. My name is Matthew Harper. I'm 38 years old. I was once an electrical engineer. I had a wife, a daughter, a dog, and a house with a white picket fence. Today, I have silence, and silence, I discovered, is the worst kind of company. Emily, my daughter, died 6 months ago. He was 4 years old, an accident, idiot. A truck invaded the sidewalk while my wife was crossing with her on the sidewalk. Range. She was thrown. Police. Said it was instantaneous. I don't like to think in this, but I think. All day. After she died and my wife moved away, I slept in another room, then in another apartment, until one day he no longer answered my calls. I think that she blamed me, perhaps rightly so. I was the one who insisted on leaving Emily with her that day, even though I knew Anne was exhausted. I stayed at the house. I didn't have the courage to change anything. Emily's room remains the same. The smell of lavender still hangs in the air. Toys are stacked in a corner like a small altar, and the baby monitor is still on the dresser, with the little light green on. It was with him that it all started. The first time, I thought I was going crazy. It was late at night, about 2 o'clock morning. I had taken a few sips of whiskey and was lying on the couch with the television on. Switched to mute. That's when I heard her little voice. Wow! My body froze. I stood up so quickly I almost tripped. I ran to the monitor. The screen was dark as always, but the sound was clean, of course. The voice of Emily, that sweet, half-sung intonation. Daddy, I'm with the shiny men now. They're cool. I turned off the monitor right away. I thought it was a recording, some defect, a dream, whatnot. I walked around the house like a lunatic. I checked her room. Empty, of course. Total silence. The following night, the same time, the same voice. They said I can come back. Soon, soon. This time, I cried. I collapsed on the floor in the hallway and cried until I had no strength left. Legs. The voice repeated itself. Sweet, quiet, as if she hadn't left, as if she was still here. I tried recording. I turned on my cell phone near the monitor, but every time I did this, silence, as if it only existed for me. I started waiting for that moment. 2 in the morning, sharp, the time she spoke, and she started talking more, things only she would know, like the nickname he gave me when I was a baby, Papato, and the fear I had of the laundry closet. He talked about our walks, the little song we invented. I wrote everything down, and more, I felt like it was her. It had to be, but something started to change. They said I'm special, Daddy, that I can see everything now. They showed me what it was like before I was born. They want to get to know you too. You'll like it. The voice was still sweet, but there was something different, a strange cadence, words that Emily would never use. Collective consciousness, symbiotic door, subversion of matter. I started recording everything in a notebook, gave me chills. I started researching. They thought I was being paranoid. My colleagues from the old firm called me. One of them even suggested therapy. I didn't care. I just wanted to understand who the men were shiny, and what did she mean by return. That's when I started having dreams, always the same place, a dark room with walls covered in a pulsating light, almost alive, and in the center a kind of cocoon breathing. Inside him, something that it looked like Emily, but higher, with very, very big eyes. And she said, I let it in, Daddy. It's almost ready. I woke up with my chest burning. The doctor said it was reflux, but I knew. There was something inside me, something crescendo. I started to lose weight, losing hair, bleed from the nose. The monitor continued connected. Now she talked almost every night. Sometimes I thought I heard other sounds around me. Bottom, Codes, whispers in languages I didn't know, until the last message arrived. They said you accepted, Daddy, that I can be reborn in you. I don't remember what happened in the next 48 hours. They found me in the garage, lying on the floor, naked, with the monitor still glued to his chest as if it were a heart extra. At the hospital, they said I was dehydrated and in shock. Anne appeared. He cried when he saw me. He said he would help me, but when he hugged me, I felt that something in her receded, as if he knew, because it wasn't just Emily there. Yes, she came from somewhere beyond what we can imagine, but I brought things with she, minds that share a common memory, who learned what it is to love, lose, suffer, who understood how to manipulate grief. I was alone, the receptacle, and now I hear them, inside my head, whispering secrets of the universe between the beats of my heart. The monitor is off, but I don't need it anymore, because now I'm the one talking to other parents who have lost their children. They will listen too, shortly, and then we will all be one. After that last message from Emily, I can be reborn in you. Something inside me just turned inside out. I don't know if it was the promise or the way she said, but that no longer sounded like a request, it sounded like an order, and I obeyed. Not by faith, not out of madness, but out of nostalgia. During the days that followed, the voices no longer came through the monitor. They came from within. They started quietly, like when someone murmurs something in another room. I could barely make out the words, but they were there, vibrating deep inside my mind, like a poorly tuned radio station. And then the dreams got worse. I saw myself in white, endless corridors, like abandoned hospitals, with lights flashing on the ceiling and a high-pitched buzzing that made my ears bleed. At the end of corridor, always the same door, always locked. And behind her, the heavy breathing of the who was once my daughter, but now she was something else. I woke up sweating with a metallic taste in my mouth and a ringing in my bones, literally in the bones. It was as if something was vibrating inside me, piercing the flesh. One frequency, a presence. I started to notice strange details in the mirror. The iris of my left eye seemed lighter, not exactly blue, but bright, as if there was a dim lamp burning inside. And sometimes if I stayed long, too much looking at myself, I blinked, but the reflection didn't. At first I thought it was paranoia, exhaustion, but then a reflection flickered on its own. Me stared, smiled, and he whispered with his mouth still, "She's almost ready." After that, I started avoiding mirrors. I broke the one in the bathroom with my bare elbow. To want. Or maybe it wasn't so accidental. I tried to leave the house. I swear to God, I tried. I got dressed, opened the door, took 3 steps on the sidewalk, and the voices, they were deafening, as if someone turned on the radio at full volume straight to my skull. I fell to my knees on the grass. I vomited. I bled. The words came in tongues that my mouth could not pronounce, dry, choppy sounds. They didn't want for me to leave. I came back crawling. That night, Emily's bedroom door opened by itself. I hadn't gone in there for 6 months without turning on the light, but I didn't need to. There was a strange light coming from the crib, even with the windows closed, even with the thick curtains. A milky, pulsating light. It looked alive. I approached slowly. The bedroom floor seemed to breathe beneath my feet, and there, right in the center of the crib, was the monitor, connected, even without being plugged in, and the little light green flashed quickly, almost frantic. I picked up the device with shaking hands. Her voice came, but not just hers. "You have been chosen, Matthew. She is the bridge. You are the seed. Together, they will be home." The monitor screen lit up for a second. I swear by all that is holy, I saw the face from Emily, but elongated, alien, familiar and strange at the same time, as if someone had assembled my daughter's face from someone else's memory species. She looked at me, quiet, blinking slowly, the eyes bigger than they had ever been, and then she said, "I can be born now, Daddy." I turned off the monitor. I threw it on the floor, but he didn't break it. It just rolled like one silly toy, with the little light still pulsing. I ran to the bathroom, washed my face, looked at myself in the broken mirror, and saw my left eye, blinking alone. The left side of my face began to swell over the next few days, but it wasn't common inflammation. It was growth, tissues forming beneath the skin as if something was taking shape inside me. A second face, a membrane, one uterus. I started writing everything down, pages and more pages. Sometimes I woke up on the floor surrounded by notes that I remembered doing it. Codes, diagrams, phrases in strange languages, always with the same symbol, a circle inside another, connected by 9 thin lines. I went to the doctor. He took exams, CT scans. He found nothing unusual, but when you look at me, eyes hesitated. "You look different," he said. He asked if I was taking medicines. I shook my head. He doesn't know, of course. Nobody knows. They don't live in here like I do. They call me a cocoon now. Sometimes, in the middle of the silence, I feel like there are lots of little hands inside me, like children hitting the walls of a uterus in reverse, begging to leave, begging to be born. But they are not children. They are consciences, ancestral minds, countless. And Emily, my God, my daughter, it's just the body they used to get to me, because she had the door open. The mind clears, the light soul. They found in her the canal, but I am the soil. And now the birth has begun. The skin on my back is cracking. The spinal bone moves on its own. The veins vibrate like violin strings. I don't know how much longer I can last. I just know that when she is born, she will no longer be just my daughter. It will be all of them. And me, I will be the cradle. There's no more pretending. My body does not belong to me, not even my mind. Every thought comes with an echo, a reverberation that is not mine, but that mixes with who I am, like paint on a glass of water. They are waking up. Sometimes I feel like I'm no longer alone in my own skin, and I'm not talking about metaphors. I'm talking about real presences that move beneath the flesh, that they crawl along the vertebrae like hungry insects. Some nights I wake up with my back arched, as if someone had bent me while I slept. Other times I wake up on my knees in positions I would never adopt, as if he was praying, but it's not God I bow to. The baby monitor still blinks, now with a more intense white light and almost bluish, like welding light. Even turned off, even without power, it's still there, working, alive. And every night Emily's voice sounds more fused. It's still her, but it's also something else, as if there was a second mouth speaking together. How if every word was being modulated, adjusted, translated. Sorry, I lose track sometimes. Yesterday I went to the basement to look for something to distract me. I found an old box with Emily's toys, dolls, bitten books, that worn-out teddy bear. She dragged it everywhere. And at the bottom of the box, a cassette tape, the one we recorded with the little song she invented to sleep. I decided to listen. I put it on the old recorder in the basement. The tape ran, but the song wasn't the same. It was her singing, yes. Your voice, your soft off-key melody. But between the verses, childish, there were whispers recorded over the top. Low, distorted, almost imperceptible. I had to put my ear to the speaker to try to understand. And then I heard, the passage has already been made. The memory has been preserved. The body will form according to pain. He's ready. I released the tape. I fell back, shaking. Pain. Pain was the mold. They used suffering as leaven, loss as genetic code. My grief, my fault. Each tear was raw material for it to form. Not just Emily, but the thing that would come with it. The colony, the collective consciousness. And now I feel movement on the left side of my body, from inside. Not like normal pain, but a rhythmic pressure, like heartbeats, as falls. There's something growing behind my ribs. I went to the hospital. Again. He said he needed help, that something was brewing inside me. They did tests, but they didn't find anything, of course not. The thing hides. She knows when she is being watched. She withdraws, as if she were made of shadow and thought. In the waiting room, a woman with a child on her lap looked at me for too long. The child looked at me as if he recognized me. A boy, 3 years maybe, eyes dark, dilated pupils, and then he whispered something to his mother, very quietly, but I listened. He's with her, Mom. She's talking inside him. The woman pulled her son away, suspicious. He gave me a look of pity, or fear. I returned home, I locked all the doors, I turned off all the lights, and then I sat on the floor of Emily's room, facing the empty crib. The monitor, it was there, with the light pulsing at a faster pace than ever before, almost like a fetal heartbeat, and she spoke again. But this time, she cried, "Papato, it's dark here. They're pulling me." My heart stopped. That sounded like the real Emily, not modulated, no distorted. My girl, scared. "They said that you let me go, but I don't want to go, although, Daddy, please, and save me." I clung to the monitor. I was shaking all over. "Emily, it's me. I'm here. I'm with you." Silence. Then came another voice. Serious. Sling. That voice I only heard in dreams. "She's not yours anymore. She is our form. You are our channel. And now, we're ready." The monitor light went out. The room went completely dark. The light disappeared. But inside me, the light lit up. Literally. When I looked at my hands, there were little beams of light escaping through my pores, as shiny filaments like fiber optics. The ground shook, the walls vibrated, and I heard, from inside my chest, a new sound, a cry. But it wasn't a baby. There were many, a crowd, a choir of children's, voices overlapping, distorted, and they cried inside me. The crying didn't stop, it vibrated inside me like a heart beating in places where before there was only silence. It was a dissonant melody, made up of voices that no longer knew how to be human. Some begged, others laughed, but they all came from within. I got up staggering. The light in my pores intensified, leaking like cracks in glass ready to explode. Emily's room was shaking slightly, and the crib started to creak, alone, as if something invisible was pushing him from one side to other. The wood groaned, the screws squeaked, the monitor on the floor lit up once again. No sound, just an image, distorted, grainy, of Emily standing at the edge of a dark field, looking straight ahead. For me, she was different, older, or evolved. The eyes shone like headlights in a tunnel, and behind her, humanoid shadows floated, elongated, shrouded in a dull light, white as bones, the brilliant men. And then, with a sharp crack, my skin broke. The sound was wet, repulsive, like a crushed watermelon. I felt my back opening in a long tear from the shoulder blades to the base of the spine. There was no blood, just one translucent substance running, hot and thick, smelling of iron and ozone. I fell to my knees, panting, with my hands on the floor, and vomited. But what came out of me wasn't food. It was light, pure, button, viscose, and from it, shapes began to emerge. First, fingers, thin, long, translucent, then arms, torsos, heads. Each it carried a partial face of Emily, but distorted, rearranged, as if your mind had been cloned, cut up and redistributed into multiple entities. Some they had too many eyes, others no mouth, and still they were all crying, or laugh, or they called for me. "Papacy! Papacy! Papacy!" They surrounded me. They crawled around me like deformed newborns. Your skin vibrated as if in a constant state of birth. None of them seemed completely solid. They were made of fabric and light and memory. My memories. The walls of the room began to crack. The wood creaked. The house was breathing. The time seemed to slow down. And I get it. I was the uterus. My grief was food. My pain, the ritual. They didn't want to destroy humanity. They wanted to be born through it. Use our losses, our emotional cracks, as inputs, like holes in reality through which they could infiltrate their seeds. Emily was just the first, the mold, and now I was giving birth to something that should never exist in this world. I tried to drag myself to the door, but my body no longer responded. It was rigid, curved, as if he no longer had muscles, just passage channels. One of creatures, with half of Emily's face and the other half covered in skin, translucent body that showed the brain pulsing, approached me. She looked at me. He touched my face with shining fingers and whispered, "Thank you for bringing me, Daddy. Now we can be born into others." She turned to the wall and crossed, just like that, as if reality were too thin a veil. The others followed her, one by one, passing through the walls, the ceiling, the floor, disappearing into the world. loading in itself pieces of Emily and parts of me. When the last one disappeared, the monitor went out, and the room stopped shaking. I stayed there, lying on his side, panting, his skin raw, his mouth full of taste metallic, and the emptiness pulsing where there was something inside me before. And for the first time in months, I didn't hear her voice, just silence, but it wasn't the same as before. Now the silence felt full, like the silence of an empty room after a party, where you know something happened there, something that changed everything. It took me hours to get up. The city was the same outside. Nobody knew, nobody saw it, but they were spread out now. I felt it, like little sparks planted in other broken hearts, other parents, others' mothers, other broken people with holes in their souls big enough for them to pass. And in the end, I didn't feel angry. I felt relief, because maybe, just maybe, part of Emily still exists inside that. Maybe she'd be alive in a way I will never understand. And maybe by letting her be born, I have done something right. Even though right doesn't mean safe or human. I'm just the first, but I won't be the last. And you who are reading this, if one night by chance you hear a sweet voice coming from a turned-off monitor saying, "Mommy? Daddy? I'm with the brilliant men," I hang up or open the door and run out, but no, it will not come alone.